Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Tiger Basketball Report. The Tigers go 2-0 this past week with wins over Hofstra and Stony Brook. As always, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Laura Harper. Coach, first of all, glad to see you're feeling better.
Yes.
And welcome back.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
And I mean, nothing helps you feel better than 2-0. Gutsy win up at Hofstra, 63-51, and then come back home, 59-52, with another gutsy win over Stony Brook. Let's talk about Hofstra. It was a slow start for the Tigers, but then in that second half, you outscored the Pride 39-18. We've talked about this time and time again. This team fights, and it showed up both games this weekend, but no more so than in that Hofstra game.
For sure. And I've been challenging, and specifically that game, our forwards. We feel like we have the deepest forwards in the conference, and that's something that we need to utilize to our advantage. So really came at them aggressively versus Hofstra, and they delivered both versus Hofstra and versus Stony Brook.
When you look at the slow starts, because there's been a few this year, and you guys put yourselves in the holes sometimes, not necessarily that anything another team is doing. It's just Towson just doesn't hit the shots, a couple of turnovers here and there. Have you diagnosed that yet? Have you tried to find a way to fix the slow starts?
Well, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I've tried a myriad of different lineups to see if we can shake some things up. But ultimately, I think it's just on us as far as taking good shots and making sure that we're valuing the basketball.
And now at Stony Brook, it was a flip. You guys got out to a very quick start. Stony Brook fought back throughout the game, but never let them close. How did you feel? Could you sense a difference in the way the Stony Brook game started to the way the Hofstra game started?
For sure. This was the first time we started with energy, with life. We dictated the pace and were in control the whole game, and it was really fun to be a part of. Even with them making the runs that they did, we were still able to sustain those.
Someone who had a great weekend, Deja Bristol, was incredible. Against Stony Brook, first of all, she ripped off the first 9 points, I think, for you guys. 10.6 rebounds at Hofstra, 16-5 against Stony Brook. I mean, she set the tone, especially in that Stony Brook game for you guys early on, and everyone followed suit.
For sure. Again, she's one who I've, been challenging a lot just to assert her will, her dominance. And for us to be successful, we need her to play that level of basketball. We've
talked ad nauseum about India and her adjustment to the new roles and that you guys are going to go as India goes, but someone who's starting to creep into that conversation is Nay Staten. She has been misconsistent over the last few weeks here and there as well, but how important, how crucial has Nay become to the success of this team, where if Nay has a bad night, then Towson might have a bad night too?
Again, we need Nay. We're running a lot of plays for India, for Nay, for Deja and Hadi, right? But as far as just our creators, India and Nay are by far our two that can create their own shots, and just her versatility is really important for us because I do feel like she gives a mismatch nightmare sometimes.
You mentioned in your press conference after Stony Brook, and certainly us here have noticed it during home games. Nay's always the first one down there shooting by herself. Talk about her drive and her want just to be great and be able to deliver for this team.
There's just a level of work ethic that Nay has that's unmatched, and I think she's the hardest on herself when she misses shots, but there's a level of preparation. She believes that the work wins, which is my philosophy as well, and I trust her. So when she takes those shots, I think that they're going in every single time. Same with India.
Another part of your philosophy we know is playing hard defense, and ever since conference play has started, you guys have the second best opponent field goal percentage in the conference. Opponents shooting just 36% against the Tigers. What do you credit that to? And even in nights where you guys might not be scoring the ball as easily as you'd like, you're keeping yourselves in it because the defense is so good.
For sure, definitely cannot take full responsibility there. Coach KJ's over our defense, and she's an integral part of just what practices are looking like and just her intensity and tenacity there within our team. So us also realizing with our change in identity a bit from the beginning of the season to now, that's something that we can control is our defense. And, adversity as players, we can't control that, and that's just, we have to play defense to win.
Do you see the team taking pride in that, in the fact that they do make it a tough outing for whoever they're lining up against, whether it's the top of the conference or the bottom of the conference?
I do. I definitely think they've bought into and they realize that that's the only way that we're going to really take some of these wins home.
All right, so 2 games in the books, 2 more on deck as you travel up to Northeastern and then back home against UNCW. Northeastern early this year defeat them 79-43. Huskies having a tough season. They just picked up their first conference win this past weekend over Hofstra. When you look at the Huskies and a team that's obviously struggled, how do you go into, okay, we want to repeat the same success that we had, but we can't be too predictable as well?
Of course, I think ultimately we've had our own struggles. So I think it's really something focusing on what we need to do and us peaking at the right time of the year and just our effort and our attitude. And I think it just doesn't change regardless of the opponent.
Then back home on the 23rd against UNCW. They're an interesting case right now. They've 6-7 in the conference. They've lost 4 straight. They've had some big wins in the conference as well. What do you see from UNCW right now that has maybe got them kind of on a rocky footing at the moment?
You know, honestly, I haven't watched them in depth, but I know that they have the players and they're extremely capable. So, you know, once we're finished preparing for Northeastern, I think similarly we have to just get ready for their transition offense because they've got some really lethal shooters and a great big inside with Alice Leia.
When you get into this point of the season, obviously everyone's starting to peak a little bit at the tournament. There's quite a logjam kind of in all 3 tiers of the standings. How do you view the conference with as packed as it is? And we've said it before, anyone could win this conference this year from top to bottom. How do you view the CAA right now and as you guys continue to jockey for position in the tournament?
Of course, you know, I think credit A&T and Drexel for separating themselves at the top of the conference. But I think after that, it's really a crapshoot. And I think ultimately it shows the parity within the conference and it keeps all of our teams extremely motivated.
All right, Coach, thanks for joining us and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Tigers on the road on Friday at Northeastern and then back here inside TU Arena on the 23rd at 2 o'clock against UNCW. We hope to see you here at TU Arena. For the head coach, Laura Harper, I'm Ben Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us. And as always, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.